Jamar Chase is at practice but will not participate for the second straight day, or did not participate at this point in the evening. Second straight day, he's holding in a different version of what CeeDee Lamb's doing in Dallas. We've got teams making mistakes left and right, absolutely crapping the bed on a lot of these situations. The Bengals are crapping the bed. The Dallas Cowboys are crapping the bed. This is an absolute debacle for a few of these teams. We've got other teams that are kind of in a pinch as well. I wouldn't say they're crapping the bed entirely on all fronts, but like a team like the Niners definitely crapped the bed with Ayuk all offseason long. Now they've got Trent Williams wanting money. They made Christian McCaffrey's contract right. They right-sized him. They did the right thing there. I think Trent Williams gets his deal within 24 to 48 hours, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But we've got tons of news. I've got, I think, 15, 16 pieces of news to break down. This is going to be a wild ride. Buckle up, Buttercups. We're walking into a jam-packed news edition. This is a Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday show. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Lots of news to go over. Phone lines will be open in a few minutes here. We've got Jamar Chase not practicing, or he's at practice but not participating for the second straight day as he holds in. And at what point does he say, look, you're not going to pay me, I'm not going to play? I don't know if he'll take it that far. Usually players do not. Usually players want to get paid. They don't want to miss game checks, which at some point these players will start missing game checks. Now, players on rookie deals like Lamb, like Jamar Chase, especially Jamar Chase, or especially Lamb in the case that Lamb's actually holding out, the $40,000 per day fine that Lamb's accruing can be waived if the team wants to waive all of the fines. And I can guarantee you they will, because Lamb will not sign a deal that takes off those monies that he's missing every single day. But the question remains is, does Jerry, that's if he gets a deal, does Jerry give Lamb a deal? Does Lamb end up coming back in? Maybe they waive the fines, maybe they don't, but does Lamb come back in and play 2024 without a contract and the threat of a franchise tag, which is what I'm starting to kind of feel that Jerry's going to do? I thought this has to happen, right? Lamb's got to get his deal, and Dak may or may not. Like, we know at this point, Dak is touch and go. Lamb feels like obvious, right? Is it? Because we've got this man, Jamar Chase, likely waiting until next year. His owner, Mr. Brown, said, and I'm telling you right now, between Jerry Jones and Brown, I don't know who is more unaware of what's really going on inside their organization and what's going on around them. And I don't know which one makes worse decisions at this point in their tenure, because these guys look like they're at the end of the line for being able to perceive and have cognitive ability that is required to run a franchise. They both can't handle, I think, the heat in the kitchen, and I think both of them need to walk away, because they're creating a crazy environment for these quarterbacks in this situation, these two teams that are very competitive. I mean, you're talking about an AFC team that absolutely could be a top 4 team in the AFC, talking about an NFC team in the Cowboys that could absolutely be a top 4 or 5 team in the NFC, and you're not doing the right things to keep everything functioning properly, everybody happy. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the model citizen of the NFL in terms of taking care of players.
Mashed potatoes!
I mean, Philly gives A.J. Brown his deal, Devontae Smith his deal. They give this man, Jalen Hurts, his running back, Saquon Barkley. They're not afraid to spend money and go after a championship. But the owner of the Bengals has said the die is cast. The die is cast. I don't know that we're going to get a deal done. I'm not necessarily ruling it out, but the die is cast, and the offseason is a better time for these types of things, is what was said about Ja'Marr Chase's contract, meaning that it's very unlikely Ja'Marr Chase gets a deal. Now, he's in his 4th year. Lamb's in his 5th year on the 5th year option. So Ja'Marr Chase is kind of trying to take a bite out of the apple a year early. Now, does it end up happening? At this point, I don't think so. Does Chase end up fully, taking this thing the distance? Probably not, because he's doing it a year early. He's trying to do it a year early. Lamb Chops is a very different situation. Jerry Jones reiterated at training camp today that the Cowboys are all in 2024. And then he had this to say, which was a remarkable thing to say for Jerry Jones, a wild thing to say for Jerry Jones. And let's break it down. He said sometimes being all in means you remove the months that are in the future and you narrow it down to where all we're talking about is right now and the next playoff season. And that's it for everybody, he said. For everybody. This comment alone makes me feel like, at least in this moment in time, Jerry has decided against giving anybody an extension. I mean, it says it right here. It says it right here, for everybody. Which, this is wild that Jerry Jones is even contemplating walking into the season, trying to win a championship. You didn't support Dak. You didn't bring in an RB. You're running with Zeke Elliott and Dowdle, probably the worst running back room in the National Football League. You've got this thing absolutely dumbed down even more than it was last year, and you're going all in. How are you all in when you have your best player, CeeDee Lamb, not there, not present? He's holding out. And Jerry, this comment right here from Jerry, we didn't talk about this on the show prior, about an hour ago, but this comment right here is where you narrow it down, right? You narrow it down, and you're worried about the right now, the next playoff season, and that's it for everybody. It sounds like he's going to take his chance that he's going to lose Dak Prescott in the offseason. It sounds like he's going to take his chance and have to franchise tag CeeDee Lamb next offseason, which is going to be a nightmare, and pay the price. Pay this man $120 million guaranteed. That's what Lamb Chops is going to command. $120, $130 million guaranteed. Maybe $37 million a year. This wide receiver price tag and market's going to explode every single year. Every single offseason it's going up. Jerry doesn't know what in the hell he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. You got Parsons, you got Dak, you got Lamb, and you're saying this goes for everybody. So could he change his mind? Yes. Could he wake up on the right side of the bed and say, let's get a deal done with Dak and CD, and maybe we address Parsons later? Well, yeah. Could he do that? Sure. But as of this statement right here, today in camp, he said this applies to everybody. We're worried about the playoffs, and that's it. The 2024 season, and that's it. In that respect, I would say that a deal is not likely for either CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott. And boy, is this going to get interesting for Lamb Chops. Boy, is it going to be interesting how it affects his fantasy football value going forward as well. And then you've got this news here in relation to the Chase situation. Ja'Marr Chase is scheduled to make $1 million this season and $4.86 million overall if he wants a new contract. Mike Brown didn't make it sound intimate this week. The situation isn't over, but Bengals wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase, his annual salary is $1 million. Now, he signed the deal. He's in the 4th year, not the 5th year. This isn't a 5th year option. It is the 4th year of his contract. It is par for the course to get an extension in that 5th year option year, or sometimes the 4th year. It does happen. Receivers do it. It does go down that way when teams want to save a buck. But it's not something that's absolutely required in the case of Ja'Marr Chase. But he's getting paid $1 million. He's not happy, and you're going to save money by signing him. It's moronic not to. These teams are absolutely making, as I have right here in the title, bad decisions, and it's going to cost them long-term down the stretch. Here is the Cowboys COO, Stephen Jones, who says that the team like the Vikings aren't paying a QB. Teams like the Vikings are not paying a QB. And anyone on the roster at this point is what he's saying. The Vikings aren't spending money. So he's using the Vikings blueprint. The COO, Stephen Jones, is using the Vikings as a blueprint for this organization's spending habits in 2024. He says, let me read the whole thing. The Vikings aren't paying a QB or anyone on the roster at this point, which makes it easier for them to pay Justin Jefferson $35 million. They're not paying a quarterback, is what he went on to say. This team has no clue what it's doing. It doesn't understand that to win championships, you got to set your players up for success. And not to mention, what in the hell is Jerry Jones going to do if Dak balls out? And Dak has no commitment whatsoever to come back to Dallas. You think Dak's going to come back to Dallas if he's balling out and, let's say, takes the Cowboys further than anybody could have imagined? What do you think Dak's going to do? He's going to go shopping in the offseason because he has a no franchise tag clause. He has a no trade clause for this year. He does whatever the hell he wants. And if you think he isn't going to go get wined and dined and find another home after being disrespected by Jerry Jones, you're out of your mind as well. Let's see here. There's more Jerry talk in here. I think I have this right here. This is from Dak Prescott, who is sitting there at the podium. Let me put this up on the top left corner of the screen and then read the quote. So Dak goes to the podium today. This is at camp. And I covered this in the other show, so I'm only going to touch on it real quickly. He says, I'm going to say it. He was at the podium and he wasn't sure he was going to say it, but he's like, I'm going to say it. And he ended up saying this exact thing in green here. He says, I want to be here. But when you look up, all the great quarterbacks played for other teams. And then he went on to say that that's not something to fear. It may be a reality for me one day. And so Dak going up and looking like he was very down. He was very defeated. He was not motivated. He was not excited to be at the podium. He didn't look excited to be there. He looks like he doesn't have a team that believes in him. He looks like he's fed up being in Dallas. I wouldn't be surprised if something crazy happened. Like this guy said, you know what? You don't want to pay me. This is 101. This is getting paid 101. If the team won't pay you, you ask if you can go talk to other teams. He's got a no trade clause, but he can waive that anytime he wants. I wouldn't be shocked if this owner, who doesn't want Dak, he does not want Dak. If he wanted Dak, he'd give him a contract. I wouldn't be surprised if this owner said, you want to go look around? Go look around. I'd also be not surprised in even the least if he said, no, we're winning the championship this year, and I don't care if I lose you or not. We're focused on 2024, and that's it. And no, you do not got permission to go seek a trade. This is crazy. This is crazy. Give Dak his money. Give Dak his money. He deserves his money. You're not gonna find better, Jerry. You're not gonna have the number 1 pick. You're not gonna get Shedeur Sanders. You'd have to give up the world to go get that pick. And the team that has it probably has no quarterback. That's why they're number 1, number 2 overall. You're not gonna replace Dak Prescott. You're gonna lose him, and you're gonna look like a fool. And this entire team's gonna go downhill. And then what happens to CeeDee Lamb? If CeeDee Lamb gets franchise tagged and then he's like stuck and then they give him a long-term deal, he's got an incoming rookie QB that's not even Shedeur Sanders. It's J.J. McCarthy-esque coming in to throw footballs to him. Then he becomes J.J. And I'm not saying J.J.'s garbage, but J.J. could be and would be the number 1 overall player in fantasy football had he had Kirk Cousins stay, or Dak Prescott went to the Vikings, or let's say Herbert's dead cap allowed him to get traded, Justin Herbert to the Vikings, and then J.J. McCarthy got drafted by Harbaugh in LAC. You would have seen J.J. become the number 1 overall pick in fantasy football. Hands down, 15 touchdowns, 1,800 yards, 120 receptions. J.J. would go to the moon. J.J. is limited in Minnesota the same way Lamb would be slightly limited, not to the tune of not being a first rounder, but he no longer is 1, 2, or 3 overall in a fantasy draft if he doesn't have Dak Prescott. It's wild to me. Speaking of the man, Kirk Cousins, a second ago, Kirk Cousins is cleared to play but won't play in any preseason games. I had another Cousins piece of news here somewhere. I think it was right. That's the Cousins news. I think it's right here. Yeah, here it is. This is from Adam Schefter. Falcons Raheem Morris, head coach, said that Kirk Cousins, who is recovering from a torn Achilles, has been medically cleared for but the Falcons will be diligent with him, and the players coming off injury, they'll have modified reps. So not only modified reps, but no preseason play. You got to wonder, modified reps and no preseason play for a team that has the balls to draft Penix Jr. And I say that in a good way. I very, very much approve, Smitty approve, the Falcons' maneuver of grabbing this guy in the top 10, Michael Penix Jr., even though they signed Kirk Cousins. And I think people that like to rip on it and say the Falcons made a mistake, they're just closed-minded. It's an absolute 3D chess move. It's an amazing maneuver, and you can rip on it all you want, but you're coming from a weird place. You need to step back, evaluate the position that this team, the Falcons, they've needed this position in order to excel, and they didn't. They've got so much talent, they could win a Super Bowl. They have so much talent. They need the quarterback position, and they solidified it. They got the safest QB room in the league, and while Bob's over there laughing at him, saying, "Oh, what a dumb pick," it is a genius pick. A genius pick. And soon you will find out how genius it is. But I do wonder that Kirk Cousins' modified reps, the balls on this team and coaching staff, they're not going to hold Penix Jr. back in order to placate and be soft and you know, let's cuddle and coddle Kirk Cousins and make sure he feels safe and sound. We're not going to have Penix Jr. evolve just quite yet. We're going to hold back on him. They don't think like that. They're going to throw Penix Jr. out there. So if Penix Jr. is getting more reps than Kirk Cousins, who's still very, very not far away from fully recovered, but still got some ways to go, hence the modified reps and the no preseason play. What happens if Penix Jr. goes out there and shines? The only thing I could say is if Penix Jr. goes out and struggles a little bit, it'll help solidify Kirk Cousins' placement and kind of put some of the, Penix is going to take his job right away. It'll put some of that to rest. But Penix Jr. is a eventual monster in the Falcons offense at some point. It doesn't mean this year, but it could be this year. Any calf strain or calf injury at all, calf injuries and strains oftentimes are the culprits to a later Achilles tear. You'll have them shutting Cousins down for whatever time they feel comfortable with. And so Penix Jr. could pop up here and there between now and even week 1. So it'll be a very interesting thing to watch play out. Decker with a $2 hauler. Dak makes CD or CD makes Dak. They definitely help make each other, but bro, CD's more important to Dak than Dak is to CD to a degree. But at the same time, we still lose a lot of CD's value without Dak. It's the same thing with like JJ and really Cousins. I wouldn't say Cousins makes JJ because look at JJ now. He's still an electric elite player that's capable of 1,800 yards with a rotational quarterback room, just no touchdowns, maybe lower receptions, bad target share, but oversaturated. But I would say that if Kirk Cousins lost JJ and he went, let's say he goes to an office that he doesn't have JJ replaced with London, Kyle Pitts, he's not going to be remotely the same player at all going into a much more watered down version of a team. Let's call it the Carolina Panthers. We'd see really any quarterback go there and struggle, but very much Lamb is more of a reason why Dak is where he is than Dak is a reason why Lamb is where he is. But they're both very beneficial to each other, and they're a perfect combo that you don't want divided up. The grass is always greener when you start thinking about this chaos injecting a change in the fantasy football atmosphere. You don't want the change. You want to keep things the same with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott because it works. 1.1 in a home league. Is it crazy to take Hall or Bijan? No, I would take Bijan. Not crazy to take either 1.1 at all. Try and trade down if you can, because you definitely can get one of them at 5 or 6, so you get some value and some advantage by trading down. Diana Rossini's reporting that the Packers fans and many around the league are all awaiting to hear if Jordan Love's new big contract is complete. Based on my conversations today, it is all making progress and heading there. just not done at this time. I truly believe we will hear in the next 48 hours, maybe 3 days, probably 5 days max of a Jordan Love contract announcement. Why? Because this team is at the door knocking to become a top 6 lock in people's minds. Did they do it last year? Yeah, but they want to rinse and repeat and run it back and prove to people that you give Jordan Love a healthy wide receiver room for a change, because he did not have one last year. Christian Watson appears to be ready to rumble. You have a healthy tight end room, at least from the top level of a Luke Musgrave, who was injured last year. You got a healthy duo at running back, a very exciting rookie in Lloyd, and a very younger, more rejuvenated version of an Aaron Jones in Josh Jacobs. This is a team ready to ball. And the worst thing you could have is a delay in the camaraderie, the rapport building, and the ability to get this whole unit in sync as a well-oiled machine. The worst thing you could do is have a delay off of $2, $5, $3 million. They're going to fold. The Green Bay Packers will get a deal done. They'll meet Jordan Love over that midway point where the Packers have been playing hardball and not trying to cross a certain line number-wise. They're going to have to fold and go toward the offer a little bit more toward Jordan Love's asking price instead of trying to have Jordan Love crumble and come back to them. They just can't afford to have this thing stretch out even a week. They need to get on the ball. So Jordan Love's contract will get signed very, very quickly. I imagine in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'll be going live on Jordan Love's brand new $55 million contract. It could be $60 million. We don't really even know what it's going to be. It's going to be wild because it might reset the market again. But expect it to happen very, very, very soon. Within, I would say, 48 hours, probably 3 days' time, we will be having a breaking news live stream. And for those that don't know, on this channel, we go live when news breaks. I go live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I go live additionally whenever news breaks, and we go live most midnights to draft here on the channel. And so that link is pinned to get into those drafts on in the live chat. So make sure you click that. Deckard gifting 5 exclusive memberships. Deckard to the mother freaking moon, dropping 5 gifted memberships out there. Deckard, you're a beast. You're an animal. Jordan Love, expect that in the next 24 to 48 hours, maybe 3 days max is kind of my thinking here. Leggett, look at this report. Leggett is going to be a problem. I'd say he's going to be a problem. This is me trying to screenshot the high point of this catch. This man is a tree trunk. This man is a telephone pole. He is out there looking kind of similar to DK in terms of his spatial dominance, his spatial awareness. And this is the perfect wide receiver for a young, inaccurate Bryce Young, trying to come out, see over the line, try and get good with his accuracy, trying to read defenses, trying to say, hell, he's over there somewhere. I'm just going to launch it up there. This is the guy in the draft class, other than MHJ, maybe BT, that you wanted to help speed along this young quarterback's career. And I think Leggett is one of the sneakiest wide receiver 3-4s in fantasy football best ball. And again, I have that link pinned in the live chat if you want to draft with us at night. I love drafting this rookie wide receiver core from Leggett, even Malachi Corley to a degree. We got Leggett. We got Keon Coleman going to the moon. Leggett's a monster. He's a monster. He's got a lot of developing to do. He's a lot more raw than Keon Coleman, but he's got some skill sets that a lot of other wide receivers don't have coming out of college. So he could have a very, very enticing and surprisingly good rookie year. I love what I'm seeing out of Leggett. He's an absolute physical specimen. This is a shot of Aaron Rodgers throwing a deep pass to number 5, Garrett Wilson. Look at this guy just being led by Aaron Rodgers. This absolute dime pass. They've been looking fantastic in practice all since the beginning of time, since the two met. And it's like practice sessions look the same. It's Aaron Rodgers throwing no-look missiles to Garrett Wilson. I got to tell you, I have zero concerns that Aaron Rodgers is washed up. I know he's an older dog. Ziggy, how old is Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old and was born on December 2nd, 1983.
It's a wild, 2 years. Could he give us 2 years? Maybe, as long as his other Achilles doesn't tear and he keeps the currently recovering Achilles intact and everything good, there's a real good chance we do get 2 good years and one shot at a Super Bowl. Not saying they win it, but they're a top 6, 7, 8 team in the National Football League this year, and then it just comes down to winning consecutive games. But this is a phenomenal sight just watching, and it's not the first time this offseason, and it's not the first time from last offseason. We just are all traumatized by the loss of Aaron Rodgers last year and what that did to our Garrett Wilson shares, but you can't keep worrying about that. You got to look forward. Russell Wilson woke up with a calf issue this morning and was held out of practice. You hit camp and immediately Mr. Unlimited is kind of limited. And this is not what Fields or anti-Fields owners wanted, or anti-Fields supporters. The anti-Fields people were really hoping that Russ would come out and throw dime passes right away. He's considered day-to-day. Calf injuries can lead to Achilles. Calf injuries and Achilles injuries are like the new ACL in the NFL. And it's wild how that does kind of clump together and you have these injuries kind of in waves, but that's just the nature of the league and the way people take hits and the way things evolve. And really, calf injuries are a big concern. And so to have a calf strain right now, they're not going to take any chances if it seems bad. So Fields steps out onto the field today and starts throwing some missiles. I don't know if I have that Fields screenshot anywhere, but Fields goes out there and starts throwing some missiles. He threw a nice little pass, little dump off pass to Jaylen Warren, who I like a lot. I'm starting to like Jaylen Warren way more than Najee Harris right now. I just feel like he's got win a league potential maybe. Jaylen Warren comes in strong, looks like he's bulked up quite a bit, tons of energy, tons of drive, tons of determination, and I'm really starting to like Jaylen Warren right now. I think he's a real nice surprise. Not to mention, goodness gracious, I mean, is the writing not on the wall? What does Arthur Smith do best? Use the running back that's second or third in line, not the one that's first in line, so it only makes sense. Also, Najee's doing this weird thing where he's avoiding the media. He's being very strange and to himself. He's been disappointing before. I'm sorry, I'm not saying Najee's bad. I've kind of liked him in the offseason, admittedly, back and forth, and I'm starting to kind of fall off the Najee train, and I'm just saying, you know what? I don't need both of them. Give me Jaylen Warren. He'll be super active no matter what. He'll be catching passes no matter what. Give me that guy. And then if his volume increases later into the tune of a starter, then you win a league and you don't have to waste the value on Najee. Give me Benson. Give me Jonathan Brooks. Give me someone else instead of Najee. And then I'll take Warren. And I'm just really starting to like Warren. Warren's value is definitely on the rise for me. I love Jaylen Warren. But anyway, he throws a dump pass, Justin Fields to Warren, takes it like 15, 20 yards downfield. And then Fields also drops back and just throws a dime touchdown pass. And the whole crowd was going crazy. Was there good and bad? Yeah. Was there good and bad for everybody? Sure. But Fields, for the most part, stepped up big time today with Russell Wilson, Mr. Limited, out with a calf strain. And, I've definitely put a lot of emphasis on that Fields is the guy I believe will be starting at the end of the year. I don't know if it's a transfer of powers at week 10, week 8, week 5, week 1. I don't think Fields taking the job before week 1 is out of the question. It's a wild take. It's a little bit bold, and it probably is less likely to happen than to happen. But it's not something that you should be ruling out. And at the end of the day, Russell Wilson might look good throwing a football in a drill. Russell Wilson always looks good when you go to the Pro Bowl weekend. They're doing accuracy drills, and Russell Wilson steps back and throws this raindrop, beautiful dime pass in the breadbasket, right in the corner of the end zone. And you say to yourself, man, this is why Cortland Sutton had like 87 touchdowns last year, but he only had low yardage. But Russell Wilson, it's very easy to remember how good, to refresh your memory in a drill in practice, because he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league in that sense. He does these drills phenomenally. He's like a person that's really good at practice, but then craps the bed when the whistle blows. And keep in mind, I'm not saying Russell will be bad, but Russell Wilson doesn't run as much as Fields. Arthur Smith does have a hand in this offense, passing attack offense. I don't think he's in control of all of it. I think Mike Sullivan has a heavy hand in everything. He's the guy that got promoted after helping this offense get going last year under the helm of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Mason Rudolph looked pretty good, and it was Mike Sullivan that got the offense turning the football down the field and passing well. So I kind of feel like Mike Sullivan's got a heavy hand in this offense, this passing attack, and Arthur's really dialed into the run, but also, obviously in kind of control, but like Mike Sullivan's his guy. Think of it like Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson was the QB coordinator and the QB monster, the passing attack coordinator essentially in the Rams offense last year. So you had this guy who was not the offensive coordinator controlling the passing attack in a sense. And I think that's what Mike Sullivan's kind of doing. He got promoted too. So if you have such a successful year and they promote you, I have a feeling, even though he's not OC, he has a heavy hand. But some of the running aspects of what the quarterback's doing, I think, fall into Arthur Smith's wheelhouse, who I hate saying Arthur Smith's name. I hate even talking good about him at all, and I'm not really talking good. But you got to think he wants a running quarterback. You got to think the moment Fields starts showing signs that he might just be the better option for this offense, they're going to turn to him. I just think at some point Fields is starting. We'll have to see. Jaden Daniels throwing an absolute laser to Jahan Dotson today. And I know we all get excited, and I make fun of people that sometimes over-evaluate a practice throw, especially in shorts and no hitting. But man, when it's one of our guys, it's like it's a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go! Mashed potatoes!
So very, very excited about seeing this today, and everything that this guy throws is a laser. He's so accurate, and I find it funny when people they just can't even digest when I say that this guy's going to be better than Lamar Jackson pretty quickly, and most Lamar Jackson believers are like, what did you just did this clown just say that JD5, who hasn't taken a snap at a regular season game, is going to be better than Lamar Jackson? That's the wildest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, it was also wild, Bob, when I said that Patrick Mahomes would be a top 1 to 5 quarterback. Not top 5, top 1 to 5 quarterback. Everyone ripped me to shreds then, Bob. On NBC and CBS Sports Radio, I drop my bold predictions every year, and I came on firing when he hadn't even been anointed the starter yet. Alex Smith was going nuts in October still, and everybody was like, oh, Alex Smith's top 5 QB. He was playing like a top 5 QB, Alex Smith, that year that Mahomes was a rookie. And guess what happened? They said they were going to move on to Patrick Mahomes. And before, in October, when Smith was still firing off, I said Mahomes will be, mark my words, this unknown player to a lot of people. Try to remember back before Mahomes was Mahomes, the doubt was very, very wild. And when he was drafted, his own team, his own fan base booed the pick. So let's try to remember that Mahomes was not an obvious call. He was a top 1 to 5 QB before he took a snap. So yeah, Bill, I can say that. I have the track record to say that. And if I tell you JD5 before he takes a snap, Bob, is going to be better than Lamar Jackson, you better listen and pay attention, because JD5 is one of the mother flippin' fives, pal.
There are 2 5s? JD5, AR5? There can't be.
Oh no. They're gonna cross streams.
JD5's going to the mother flipping moon. Saturn. Wrong button, but look at these guys. That's another 5 down there. AR5 Revenge Tour. I meant to hit that button for JD5, who, by the way, is for those that don't know, he is a mother freaking Saturn man.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant
Saturn.
leap for Saturn.
Spaceman.
Spaceman. Okay, we have a super chat here from Calvin Krim. Calvin, appreciate you. All super chats will get handled immediately, so fire them on in, and I'll throw them ahead of everything else. Hey, Smitty, with all this Cowboy drama, Brandon Cooks being old as dirt, I've been drafting a lot of Tolbert in the 18th. Sneaky pick or waste? I mean, it's not a waste, but a lot of things have to happen. He's okay. He's okay. You know, the rookie, that guy, they're all potentially in the mix. At the end of the day, it does feel like Fergie and Lamb are the ones that are going to get overwatered. You know what I'm saying? But JD5 to the freaking moon, JD5 to Saturn. Let's go. Oh, here's the other 5. Here's the other version of the 5s. Colts GM Chris Ballard told reporters, by the way, that QB Anthony Richardson will be full go during training camp. Here we are. Training camp is here. AR5 season is in full effect. Let the man cook. He's going to potentially, he could be the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football. Oh, wait a minute, Smitty. Did you just say that? Did you just say, yes, I did. He could be. He's not ranking as my number 1, but when I draft him as my QB 4-5, and I draft him that high, you can say whatever the hell you want. But I draft him as my QB 4-5, and I'm expecting better numbers than that. I'll be disappointed if he's only a top 5 QB. This guy has the chance to absolutely redefine the position. He's a freak on the field. Everyone wants to say he's injury prone. He's freaking 8 feet tall, 700 pounds. How are you going to stop him? How are you going to stop him? The answer is you're not, and he's going to cook.
Let him cook.
Absolutely gonna cook. We've got Calvin. Thanks for the super chat, my guy. Anthony, can Devontae Smith be a wide receiver 1 in the new offense? Absolutely. Let me tell you something, Anthony. We don't know who's going to be the number 1 in this offense, because as much as it's easy to say that it's going to be A.J. Brown, keep in mind that Kellen Moore turns his slot wide receiver, which it could be A.J. Brown. It probably will be a mix of both of them, but the slot wide receiver in a Kellen Moore system is always top 10. It's number 3 last year with Keenan Allen. CeeDee Lamb was a top 10 wide receiver in Kellen Moore's offense, obviously. And any time you have a slot, so my point is, if Devontae Smith decides to play more slot than A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith could outscore A.J. Brown this year. I'm not saying that A.J. Brown isn't the more ideal slot wide receiver. I think they both kind of move all over the field. He's never had 2 wide receivers with this much talent. So I have a feeling Kellen Moore is going to throw everybody for a loop that's banking on one player to play slot all the time. I think Kellen Moore is going to throw everyone for a loop and have a mix and match. But yeah, he's been a top 8 to 9 wide receiver in years past, bro. There's no reason at all that these guys both can't be top 10 wide receivers. One of them top 5, one of them around 8 or 9 or 10, which would make Jalen Hurts an absolute lock to be a number 1, number 2, or number 3 QB in fantasy football. But Devontae Smith to the mother freaking moon, bro. Philadelphia to the mother freaking moon. Salty Chopper with a $2 hauler. Late to the party. What I miss about Dak? I can't repeat all that. Salty, I just went on a half-hour tirade, but definitely watch the beginning of the show back. But essentially, Dak looks like he's tired of it, bro. Dak is essentially saying he's not afraid to go play for another team, and he says, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it. You look at other quarterbacks, the great ones play for other teams. So it's really wild over there. And Jerry, according to Jerry's quote today, everybody is going to be on hold as they go for a run this year. His verbiage today sounded like he's not extending Lamb, he's not extending Dak, and he's going to let CeeDee Lamb even walk into the year without a contract and just franchise tag him and then try and sign him to a long-term deal potentially at the end of the year. So Salty, appreciate you, Salty Chopper. Jameson Williams turning heads in camp. I've talked about that before. J-Mo looking like a whole new man, according to numerous reports, catching deep balls, showing that acceleration pre-ACL. J-Mo's a very, very nice wide receiver 3-4 this year. Very, very nice wide receiver 3-4. This guy, Harbaugh, we've talked a little bit about this. Jim Harbaugh, after day one in camp, says, feels like New Year's Day. Feels like being born. It was like coming out of the womb. This guy, I don't even know what to say anymore. I can't even take him seriously anymore. I don't think this is gonna work. I don't know what they're doing there with their team. They're building this Mickey Mouse second-rate team from the trenches, though. You know, it all starts with drafting one of, if not the best linemen in the draft, and then wanting to move him positions because you actually didn't need that exact position, but you still drafted him. It all started there. Actually, it all started with getting rid of Keenan Allen because he had a top 3 wide receiver season, and you asked him to take a pay cut. Extremely disrespectful. Hey, Keenan, come into the office. We're all just numbers and bodies here. We're not stars, and there's no star on this team. There's no elite player. You need to take a pay cut. Everybody needs to get paid the same. You were number 3 wide receiver last year under Kellen Moore's system, but you need to take a pay cut. And while I will say Keenan Allen's in a bad situation, I want nothing to do with Keenan Allen. Switching teams is not a good thing. Playing in a crowded wide receiver room is not a good thing. Having a rookie QB in a team that doesn't know how to develop rookie QBs is not a good thing. And then on top of that, he's 55 years old. So how are we going to love Keenan Allen this year? We can't. But it doesn't mean that it was the right move for this team to take the familiar player away from Herbert. Maybe you got half a year. Maybe you got 3/4 of a year. Maybe you got a broken up year, but he was there for the beginning and the end. Maybe somehow he stayed healthy, hit a wall, but still delivered pretty well. Like, what is going on with this guy? This rah. It felt like it was being born. You know, and the thing about his mother in a swimsuit the other day, that was wild too. He's like, something about, I forget what he said. Something about, I think about that like I think about my mom in a swimsuit. It was like something wild. This guy's analogy, I don't think he knows what he's saying. I think when he says it, he's like, he's one of those guys that he regrets saying what he says every time he opens his mouth. I don't know what in the hell's going on with this guy, but I don't believe in really what's being built over there. Maybe he outcoaches his own inept abilities to build a team, but he's not building a good team. I don't care what anybody says. And you could say, Smitty, what do you know? I obviously believe I know more than most of the people we're talking about day in and day out, or I wouldn't be here arrogantly doing what I do. If that clears it up for you. Marco Silva with a $5 hauler. Smitty, Dynasty, non-keeper, keep 2. CMC, second round. Jamar Chase, 11. Or Laporta, 13. You have a much better chance of, look, even though it's Dynasty, second round CMC is still brilliant. So I'm going to keep CMC and Chase probably if I believe I'm going to build a win now team. Now, keeper league's different. This is not a Dynasty league. I guess, Marco, can you clarify, do you keep these guys forever or is there a limitation? Dynasty means you keep everybody. There's no release, and when you cut a player, you cut them, that's fine. They're done. But when you have a player, you're keeping that player. This is a keeper league, Marco. This is not a Dynasty league. So you need to clarify how long you can keep these other guys. Like, can Jamar Chase, does it go down to a 7th rounder, a 9th rounder? Do you lose 2 rounds every year? If it's a limited keeper league, because it's not a Dynasty league, then it's interesting. You know, do you take Laporta and Chase and say, I'll draft another RB? Maybe, but CMC helps you win a league if this is a limited keeper league. You know, if you can keep them for as long as you want at that round, then I'm maybe changing my answer to Laporta, Jamar Chase. But if there's a 2 or 3 year max, you're just going to keep CMC and treat this like almost a little bit more of a tiny keeper aspect to it, but more of a redraft league in a sense. So anyway, Marco, let me know how long you can keep these guys, and I'll definitely try and answer the question. Again, I'll run it back. This guy, Jordan Addison, found himself in a dark place after his recent arrest this month, or earlier this month, on suspicion of driving under the influence, he said Wednesday in his first public comment since the incident. He obviously needs some help because this is not the first time that he's had a run-in in a vehicle. He was going 140 miles an hour on the freeway, pulled over last offseason. Now he fell asleep on the freeway in a car, in his Rolls Royce. This guy's got some problems, and he's got some issues, and he's got to work through those. And he's also going to find himself with less targets than he ever dreamed of. And so how is he going to handle that? I don't know how I feel about him right now. I don't know how I feel about his value sum total. Silva dropping another super chat like a monster. He says, Keeper League, keep that round forever. So in a sense, you're like, it's a dynasty for two players. I guess, you could word it that way. I'd probably say if you can keep at that round forever, then I do go Laporta and instead of Christian McCaffrey. Just because Laporta is going to play for a long time. This isn't a limited keeper league or one where they climb up every single year into a different round. And then 3 years from now, it's like, why didn't you just keep CMC for the 1 or 2 years and win championships? I would go ahead and take the two younger players and hope that you get Kyron or HN or somebody in round 2 that's comparable anyways to CMC. So that would be my final answer, Marco. But thank you for clarifying. That definitely helps out. This news right here, we're pretty much almost done with the entirety of the news updates for now, the new ones anyway. But again, $40K a day, CeeDee Lamb's getting fined. That amount should be waived by the team, but the way Jerry's thinking, I have no clue what's going on. Scuba Steve is on the line. Scuba, let me hit the intro button for the phone lines, and then I'll come to you. Dial into the show.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the Grindhouse, formerly Grindhouse phone lines. Now they've rebranded the Attic. Scuba, what can I do for you?
Hey, Smitty. So I haven't been keeping up with your videos in a while. So
Apparently.
I don't know if I'm sure you probably cover this if you wanted these guys or not. But Ramondre and Jacobs, man, how are you feeling with them? Because I like Ramondre Stevenson personally as a Patriots fan. But the one thing is because I'm not sure how this new offense is going to work with Van Pelt. And just seeing, like, the offensive linemen, because I was at the training camp, and, I mean, the offensive linemen, they're getting beat, and they're not even in pads yet. And the offensive line is definitely looking like a project. So what do you think that Ramondre is? Do you think he's going to bounce back? Because I don't know, man. I mean, the offensive line looks rough.
Yeah, so a couple things. Number one, do I think Stevenson is I'm going to try and keep the topic always on this show moving forward. Like, someone can remind me, especially phone line people. If I don't, the topic at hand, if I don't put it up on screen, remind me. Makes it so much more enjoyable to watch for you guys later. Stevenson, two things. Number one, he was completely misused last year. Completely. And I do believe they're going to rectify that. They also paid him, bro. When you get paid and they gave him, they right-sized him, they gave him a new contract, that says something. That means they're going to use you, okay? It also protects you from having a bad game or a bad string of games and then they replace you. You're given a whole lot more leeway when they just paid you money. That's your job. Your job to lose, and it's hard to lose it. That's number one. So you should feel very secure in that he got paid. And his value should be way higher than it is, to be honest, bro. Number two, he's the best receiver on the entire team. That includes all the receivers, the tight ends. He is the most experienced and the best receiver on the entire team. He's also going to be a safety blanket for whatever quarterback is in there throwing him the football because of that reason. He's protected into so much volume, and even when they're down, and the Patriots will be down a lot this year, he's game scripted in to all of that comeback run because he could catch you 6-7 receptions in a single game. So I love Stevenson this year. He's a fantastic player to grab. His ADP it couldn't be any better. Sometimes goes in the 65 to 85 territory depending on if it's best ball, non-best ball. And you look at ADP data. Let's go over to Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. That link is pinned in the live chat. We'll be drafting tonight on Underdog, by the way. So hit that link. Do it now. Do it live. Get signed up. $10 minimum. They'll match your first deposit 50%. So if you drop 100, they'll give you 50. The minimum's $10. They'll give you 5. So you'll have 15 to play with. But if we pull up the Underdog ADP 2024 and we look at Stevenson, Ramondre's going at 82 overall. That is running back 20, bro. The players above him, Aaron Jones. Give me Ramondre over Aaron Jones all day long. You've got Kamara, David Montgomery, Walker, Rashad White, Joe. Like, you're getting really close to saying, okay, he's actually slotted pretty good. Maybe he's climbing even a little bit, but he's still perfectly lined up. Is he better than Najee Harris? I would say so, especially off my comments that I just said a few minutes ago about Jaylen Warren being the guy that I really want. Is he better than James Conner? One could argue that Conner and Benson are better, but I'd rather take a gamble on Stevenson alone without drafting Benson for Conner than just Conner. Now, would I rather have Stevenson and Stevenson and Benson or Conner and Benson? That becomes definitely a debate. You look at a player like, I don't know. I mean, even a Tony Pollard, like I'm taking Stevenson. Stevenson's pretty well placed there, bro. And as for Jacobs was your other question. I love Jacobs, bro. I love Jacobs. I think that his counterpart, Lloyd, very exciting running back, very capable of being involved early, very capable of stealing PPR work from Jacobs. It makes it a vital cuffing situation. There's not cuffing situations that I'll back, as much as I will about 4 or 5 of these situations. I'm not somebody that believes that cuffing is a blanket approach that you should always deploy. I'm very, very much of the thinking of drafting only Vidal. I'm very much of the thinking of I'm not too concerned about Algier, even though you want to secure Bijan's value. I'm just not. I'm very much concerned about cuffing CMC. I'm very much concerned about cuffing Kyron above all cuffs in all of fantasy football. He's the number one cuffing situation and the biggest win a league combo. This right here, the Quorum and Kyron combo, is maybe running back 1 overall. Like it's that important. But the Jacobs cuff is important. But I love Jacobs. I think Jacobs is going to come out hungry. He's got a dog mentality. He's ready to prove everybody wrong. I know he did have his most efficient year last year, and Zamir looked better when he was on the field, but both of them struggled. And to the defense of Jacobs, when Zamir was in there, defenses also scheme differently. That happens sometimes when the backup comes in, and it doesn't end up getting adjusted as the games go on and Zeus started to look better and better. The defenses still felt like they had to throw differently, throw more. They weren't going to run as much. Jacobs is going to command more of a defensive attention, but he's in an electric offense. It's going to dump the ball off to him. I think it's vital to have both, but Jacobs could be league winning in round 4, especially around 4 or 5. He can fall to round 4 or 5 turn all the time. There's very little risk in Jacobs in round 4 if you're cuffing him.
All right, I wanted to know where he was going. Round 4 or 5 definitely sounds pretty good. He's somebody I'm definitely interested in because, like you said, I really like that Green Bay offense, and I think everything that you touched, that Josh Jacobs, man, you can tell that just leaving from Oakland, going to Green Bay, and like you hear him talking, it's like he wants to win. He's even said, like, when he's those times when he's with the Raiders that it's just like a loser mentality. I think it was somebody said to him that he's like, I think it was like a veteran. He's like, yeah, this is what it's like losing, and he's like, this is what it's like to lose. You can tell that he's very competitive.
No, the quote was something along the lines of like, we're gonna lose games, bro. Like, it's gonna happen. This is part of the process or whatever. And he's like, I don't accept that. That's what he's saying. He's saying, I don't accept that. I don't think you should ever get comfortable with losing. You guys like losing around here, is what he said. And so he was very much dog mentality, and we definitely like that. I definitely love that mindset that he has, and he's grown up a little bit. I definitely was not a huge fan of his in LV, and he especially made some bad decisions. And struggled, I think, mentally with a few things during, a couple years ago when he threatened his own fan base and was like, come fight me at the stadium. And he put the address and he went nuts on his own fan base. And so I ripped him for that. He blocked me on Instagram. I'm still blocked to this day. But the definition of me being adjust and adapt and not bias is the fact that I'm pumping up a guy that's blocked me. I can't even look at his IG. That's how much I like him. So it's all case by case, year by year. Everything's adjust and adapt, and you can't take anything from one year into the other without considering all the variables. I'm not saying we don't carry stuff over. Of course we do. But it doesn't mean just because I like somebody one year, I'm going to like them the next year. Case in point would be DeAndre Swift. I think DeAndre Swift is one of the biggest avoid running backs in 2020, period. Plain and simple, stay away from DeAndre Swift. Absolute disaster waiting to happen. Hold on. What?
I was just going to say, would you say the same thing about Tony Pollard? You avoided him too? Because I know you liked him when he was with the Cowboys, but now because he's with the Titans, are you avoiding him too?
Yeah. I'm not saying I can't find a place to draft him or an ADP that wouldn't tickle my fancy, but bro, for the most part, yes, I'm not going after Tony Pollard. And some of that isn't just that Tony Pollard's for sure going to bust. But you got, here's like the red flags, bro. I always tell you guys that if there's 2 red flags, run. Or especially if there's 3 red flags. If there's 2 red flags, it depends on the red flags. But when there's multiple red flags, it's time to say, hey, maybe you don't run entirely, but it's time to say, are there any safer running backs around here that don't have multiple red flags? What are the multiple red flags? Number 1, he joined this team out of a quick desperation, and I'm talking about Swift real quick. Swift joined this team out of a quick desperation move by the team, the Chicago Bears, to sign him rapidly and bring him in. They didn't have any other weapons really yet. They didn't have Keenan Allen yet. They didn't have mute yourself 707. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Scott from Northern California. Yeah,
okay.
I can mute. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, no problem. All right, Scott, I'll come to you in a second. Scott from California. Let me put you in the system here real quickly. So, so you have this team grabbing him. They said they wanted to use him as a weapon. That's what he's been defined as. His coaching staff calls him a weapon running back, I think was the verbiage they used. What does Swift mean to you? What's Swift going to do in this offense? He's a weapon running back. Does that sound like a starter to you? That's red flag number 1. Red flag number 2, they brought him in when there was no other talent on the roster except for DJ Moore. They've since drafted a Dunze. They've since traded for Keenan Allen. They've saturated this team with pass catchers, and he's supposed to be a weapon running back, a receiving running back, a weapon running back, somebody you're going to use in that Reggie Bush role, a slash role. He's not going to have the volume. Not to mention, on the roster, he's not a between the tackle running back. Philly tried to turn him into that, and Philly just ran him until the wheels almost fell off, and now he's going to go over and try and stay healthy when he struggled to stay healthy his entire career. On top of that, Khalil Herbert is one of the better running backs in the league in yards per carry. He's going to outperform him. And so think about this guy trying to survive off of patchwork duty. It's not going to be a good sight. There's so many safer players. Pollard in a similar light. Red flag galore, bro. Guy failed last year. I admit, I take a lap on loving Tony Pollard last year, and he failed. He goes to a situation where there's a running back already in place that is the PPR monster. Spears is a really, really good receiving running back. Meaning, I think he's going to have to pry that PPR work away from Spears' kung fu grip like we've never seen before. There's not very much hope for him to become the hardcore PPR monster in that offense that's going to be throwing from behind a lot and putting Spears on the field instead of Pollard. Pollard's limited work in those situations is going to be his downfall. He's going to be one of the most frustrating running backs to own in 2024, Tony Pollard, in my opinion. I still like him a lot, but I don't think this is the right situation. Stay out of that running back by committee that's going to be dominated PPR-wise by Spears, who's very proven. All right, hold on, Scuba. Let me go over to the Bruce and then over to Scott. Bruce, you're live. What can I do for you?
Hey, Smitty, speaking of Dak, don't you think they're giving him the Tony Romo treatment?
Who?
Tony Romo.
No, who's getting the Tony Romo treatment?
Dak.
Well, I mean, I think they're giving him, I don't know how you want to define the treatment, but I would say they're essentially, I don't know, they're Tony Romoing themselves, bro. They're lambing themselves. The Cowboys, there's no putting like Dak in a bad spot here. Dak feels disrespected, but Dak is going to get the world next year, no matter what. He could go out and tear his ACL tomorrow. He's still getting a $55-60 million per year contract in 2025 and beyond. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm trying to overemphasize it here, but I'm just merely saying that it's not like a running back goes out, craps the bed, and then there's no market for him. Dak is going to get whatever he wants wherever he goes. He's got a no franchise tag clause. What are the Cowboys thinking is beneficial here? If they're in all in now and they win, it is going to be the biggest laughingstock situation we've seen in some time. It is better for the Cowboys to lose and then lose Dak than to win a Super Bowl and lose Dak. You'll be looked at like an absolute imbecile if Dak Prescott is the clear guy for you and you have nothing you can do about it because you didn't sign into a long-term deal. It's ridiculous. This is not Danny Dimes or Deshaun Watson, where these guys get locked down to a bad contract because they're scared and they overreact. Danny Dimes is one of the worst contracts you could find. Like, why in the hell would you do that? What would make you think this guy's worth the money and then you don't give Barkley peanuts? Because that's what running backs cost. Nothing. Like, Barkley should have been the long-term deal. Then you would have Neighbors and Barkley right now. And don't give me Barkley's too old, blah, blah, blah. Him and Neighbors together for 2 more years, and you have your quarterback in place right now. But no, you didn't, because you went after Dimes, and it made you less aggressive in this year's draft to move up and go get Jaden Daniels. If it were me, I don't want to hear it, because I can slam down any of your arguments if you call on you Giants fans trying to defend this inept organization. That this Joe Shine is the probably the most inept GM I've ever seen in my life. This guy is absolute dog water. He better be fired after this year, or you guys are in serious trouble in New York. But if this was me, I would have Barkley on a deal. I would have franchise tagged Dimes just so I didn't, whatever. And then this season, I would have moved up and took JD5. Joe Shine's own son told him on Hard Knocks, there's recording of it. He goes, "You need to take JD5, Dad. You only get this job once." And Joe Shine, go get your shine box and shine my shoes, Joe.
And did you see what the guy said about Josh Allen, some old executive or whatever?
Yeah. Bro, some people don't understand football. People at the highest levels of this thing don't know ball. It's absolutely wild. Anybody that wants to come on record and put it in my live chat, we'll put it on the board of the worst takes ever. If anybody wants to say Josh Allen's not a top even 5 QB, please drop your receipt right now and put a bunch of exclamation points so I can find it, and we'll take that and we'll save that thing. We'll guard it. We'll guard it with our life. We'll put it on the bold prediction board. We'll save it. Anybody that doesn't think Josh Allen's a top 3 quarterback in the league, tell me right now. Drop your receipt right now. I'll wait for it. Silva with a $5 hauler. It's hard to because all the running backs get taken. All the top running backs are gone. Left with Saquon, Henry, Etienne, Cook. Everyone keeps their running backs. If that's the case, Silva, and you're worried about that, there's nothing wrong with throwing Laporta back in and grabbing Kincaid or McBride in the 4th or 5th round. Maybe you get lucky with one of those guys and then you have a keeper value next year in that 6th round territory when they're worth a 2 or a 3. Because I think McBride and Kincaid both might be 3rd rounders next year because of how good they're going to play. There's nothing wrong with going for the win, bro. And CMC in round 2 is gold in a keeper format. I think Laporta long-term at that value is better, but at the same time, I struggle with the decision. So I'm going to go ahead and change my mind for your sake because I know where you're wavering. And I'm going to say, keep CMC. Maybe you could even trade him. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Marco, with the super chat. Appreciate you, pal. Let me go over to Scott from Cali. Scott, what's up? You're live.
Hey, Smitty, yeah. I was just thinking about this and wondering your thoughts on Rashard White. I feel like I've never heard anyone be very high on him, myself included. And as I look at his stats last year, full PPR, he was number 4 overall RB. And so I know there's a lot more, projected things with the people above him, but I'm just kind of curious, why doesn't anyone really, vibe with him?
Rashad White, not Rashard. Rashad White. Rashad White is Rashad. He's a good running back. Kind of had some bad efficiency running the ball, but was very good catching the football. They contemplated toying with the idea of drafting a replacement between the tackles, like a Braylon Allen, and they took a Bucky Irving, which is kind of like it didn't really do anything. I like Rashad White to a degree, but he's one of those players that feels very Tony Pollard. Where we're excited about what we saw, but what are we gonna get? It could be something different, or are we gonna get surprised? So I'd only put some of my eggs in the Rashad White basket, but I tend to find myself just drafting different players. It's not about hating Rashad White. Arizona State. I love ASU guys. I graduated there, so I obviously love Rashad White from a college perspective. But I think you look at guys like Josh Jacobs, you cuff him. Even Kenneth Walker has some intrigue over Rashad White, in my opinion. So, and then the wide receivers, the tight ends, what if you can get at that Rashad White level and territory, you get something like, let's see, Rashad White's going, where is his ADP? His ADP is at, it's at 63, running back number 15. 63, if you go over to the wide receivers and on Underdog, it's going to be different than in best ball or non-best ball. In non-best ball, you have so much better wide receivers there at 63. But you go over to like the QBs and you see AR5 is going at 60. Stroud's going at 70. The tight ends, McBride's at 49. Okay, 47, yeah. Kincaid at 51. I mean, it just depends on who's on the board, bro. But I am not a huge Rashad White fan right now. Just at cost of entry.
And I've noticed that I don't think I've heard one analyst be a huge fan. It's like people talk high on maybe Pacheco this year and all the guys above him, but when you look at literally just the scoring last year, he's right there with all those.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. The problem again remains that he was very inefficient as a running back. Yeah, and he was just so good. He was just so good catching the ball. Yeah. Bruce left. Bruce, appreciate you. All right, hang tight here, Scott. Dylan, I think Dylan's serious here. I don't know if Dylan's serious, but I'm pretty sure he is because this is, I believe, the guy that was arguing about several things with me. Clearly, this guy, and especially all the caps, makes me think he's serious. Anybody that types in all caps is definitely trying to get noticed with it. But Dylan's probably telling the truth that he thinks. He goes, my receipt right here, Josh Allen is not a top 10. Wow. I don't know why you would put that on the screen, bro. I don't know what would make you want to put this out there. That is so wild. This might even be him right here. Is this Dylan the non-Josh Allen believer?
Yeah, let me walk that back a little bit. I said top 3. Top 10's a typo.
No, bro. You don't try and everybody started roasting you and you
finish him.
Okay. I gotta be quick because I can't be on the phone too long. But I wanna pick something at you.
Don't try and walk this back now. You're going on the Planet Uranus list.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
Take a deuce, take a deuce, take a deuce, take a deuce.
The question is this the worst take we've ever had on the channel? I don't know if it goes to the very, very top. I mean, it's probably going to share the top spot. I love how he tried to walk it back. I love typo top 10. You can't typo top 10. The number 10 isn't next to, there's no 10 number. There's no way you accidentally type 10, especially when I said top 10. I was like, I dare some of you to say he's not top 10. In fact, he's not top 3. He wrote 10. He wrote 10. You did not typo 10. You don't accidentally fat finger 3 into 1-0. 1-0. Probably the worst take ever in this channel's history, which is surprising because there's some really bad takes on this list.
And off he goes to the planet known as...
Take a deuce, take a deuce, take a deuce, take a deuce.
Don't even try. Dylan, everyone in here knows. I love how he says he can't be on long either. Like, like mom's telling him, Mom, the meatloaf, get it ready. I'm on the phone with the show. I'm trying to make a bold statement. I'll be there in a minute. All right, Ben with a $2 hauler. Would you draft Sun God and Jahmyr Gibbs? Of course I would. That offense is pretty potent. They, in best ball especially. In non-best ball, I still do it. But, you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. I think stacking in non-best ball can be dangerous. But there's nothing wrong with grabbing those two monsters. There's nothing wrong with that at all. All right, let me go back over to, let's go to Nate from Chicago. Nate, don't make me hang up on you again.
Yo, all I gotta say is, you see that Caleb Bikini connection coming in training camp, bro? Watch out.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I heard a lot of people say if you were there, that pass looked differently than it did in the video, and that it would have been picked off.
But what about you like the Keon Coleman hype from the video?
I love the Keon Coleman hype from the video, but the Keon Coleman hype from the video validates what I've been saying, So of course I'm gonna biasly like that. I've already said that. We're gonna watch things the way we want to watch them, bro. Caleb Williams, look, Fields looked really good coming out of Chicago last year from the preseason. He looked glorious, bro. He threw 2 back-to-back screen pass touchdowns to, I think it was DJ Moore and Khalil Herbert, if I remember correctly. Both like screen passes to the left side of the field. They were like 60-yard touchdowns. It was insane. So I'm not worried about Caleb in shorts. I'm worried about Caleb. Also, I'm not so much worried about Caleb has an arm. I'm worried about Caleb up here, bro. I'm worried about how he handles everything because he seems like he's putting the cart before the horse on so many levels, and his personality is bust-like to me. He's very Josh Rosen, very I would say Josh Rosen meets Johnny Manziel. I just don't. That's where the problem lies. It's not that he doesn't have a gun, a cannon on his arm. I mean, he's got talent, but he's also comes out of college never playing well really against good defenses, and good teams, and that whole clip of him crying in his mom's lap after a loss, man. I just don't know how he's going to handle the NFL, but we'll see.
Yeah, I got one more quick question. Would you? So I'm going to do the tripod in my redraft.
Attaboy.
So after I take the quarterback, it's either going to be Mahomes or Josh Allen. Do you think I should stack Mahomes with Worthy and Marquise Brown, or try to get Josh Allen and Kincaid and Keon Coleman later?
They're both fantastic, man. Allen's got a little bit higher ADP, but I won't lie. I was on the clock a little while ago, about maybe 24 hours ago. And Josh Allen fell. He shouldn't have fallen, but he fell really far in the 4th round on a best ball underdog draft. And I was struggling between Mahomes and Josh Allen. The thing that makes me go in best ball Josh Allen whenever I need to is because I get so many opportunities to draft Mahomes in 4 and 5. So if Allen ever falls to 4, I kind of feel like I got to take that gamble because he's usually going in 3. But you can't go wrong either way. These are both 50 touchdown capable guys. They really are.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Later, appreciate
dude.
it.
Yeah, later. Scuba Steve, final thoughts.
Hey, Smitty, I got a question. I want to talk about Puka because he's going. He's ranked the 11th best player. He's right there with some of these other guys. Are you comfortable taking him there? I mean, I know he had that breakout rookie season, but yeah, do you want to dive into this guy, or would you rather just take some of the other guys that are lower there, like Marvin? Would you rather take Marvin Harrison, Olave, Ayuk, somebody like that? I want to get your thoughts on that.
MHJ, I definitely think about it, but I think what happens is I take him a certain a percentage of Puka, but I don't want all my eggs in the Nakua basket just because, I mean, he is going near the ceiling. Like, it is hard to imagine him, crushing his current ADP. I think what ends up happening for me is I take running back at this 10, 11, 12 turn, like 80% of the time now. And then I just come swinging in for wide receivers later. But, it's not for everybody. And especially in best ball, people do not take well to it. But I don't care. I'm not here to appease the slaves to the data mentality out there. I'm going RB a lot in best ball. I'm going RB a lot in non-best ball. I'm a robust RB guy. And that's not because I'm a slave to that. I rotate. This year, it is a value. Running backs are of value this year, and wide receivers are very deep, and the rookie class has never been better, and there's a lot of opportunity to get Keon Coleman's and monsters that I think are going to step up and be huge. So give me Gibbs, in some cases I'd rather have MHJ, but at the same time I'm not going to do that like more than 5 times out of 10. Like, I'm going to split that. But if I'm choosing just between those two wide receivers, I'll take St. Brown over both of them. I'll take Gibbs and Hall and Bijan probably over Puka 9 times out of 10. Running back, baby.
I'm sure you'd take Garrett Wilson too over those guys too if he's around there.
I think I'd rotate Garrett Wilson and Puka. That's pretty close. And St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka. I love those guys. They're all very, very close. I'd probably take St. Brown over all of them if forced to choose. I'd probably take Garrett Wilson and Puka about the same. Probably, right, the wind blows a certain way. I lean one way, and they're very close, bro.
I just think for me, if Aaron Rodgers is truly healthy, man, I feel like with that upside of Garrett Wilson, I think it might finally happen. I mean, I've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for this for a while with this guy because you see it on the field how good he is. And, Zach Wilson has ruined a little bit of that potential with him. But if Aaron Rodgers can actually play those 16 games, I think he's up there, bro.
Yeah. Give me Gibbs and Breece Hall or Bijan, and then give me Kupp in round 3-4. I like that better. I just like it better. All right, later, Scuba. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'll try to draft with you if I have a chance.
All right, see you later. Appreciate everybody in here. Thank you to all the super chatters tonight. Deckard, Joey, appreciate you. Calvin Krim, Anthony. Any final super chats, drop them, and I'll come back. I'll put the exit screen on, but I'll come back and answer your question and give you some attention if you drop that super chat. Salty, appreciate you. Marco dropping your super chats. Marco, appreciate you, buddy boy. And Ben dropping that $2 hauler. And then Alex in San Diego, real quickly, bro. 30 seconds, go.
Is there any player that you won't draft solely because of injury risk?
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins?
Yeah.
No one like elite, like in the first, second round?
No, not in the first round. We went through this. I mean, McCaffrey's a concern, but I'm definitely drafting him. But I'm not overdrafting him. I'll only, if I had 4 1.1 picks and my drafts were starting right now, and I had 1.1 and 4 drafts side by side, I would take CMC in only one of those because I have to limit my shares on the 28-year-old running back that left me hanging. Quite honestly, I lost a championship. I lost an underdog championship. I think I would have got first place because he left me hanging. Him and Kamara both sat the second half, and I was in the 14, 12 to 14 range. I would have smashed everybody. And, I'm not trying to say I'm bitter and I'm going to take it out on CMC's value this year. I'm just saying, 28 years old, it's gonna start happening, But as far as like a second rounder, man, I don't know. Looking at a board right here, the first guy that comes to mind, I'd say Nico. I'm not taking Nico in the second round. It's not because of injury, though. You said injury. I just don't want to take Nico that high. I'm not taking Devontae Adams. That has something to do with injury. So I'd say probably Adams, Nico, and Waddle are probably my biggest avoids in round 2. Doesn't mean that I don't want to draft them in other rounds should they fall. But in round 2, I want nothing to do with Adams. I want nothing to do with Waddle. And I want nothing to do with Nico. And Adams and Waddle come with a little injury risk, but more so Adams because he's 87 years old.
Yeah, but like I know you like Kyron, but like
Love Kyron.
I can't get over his injury risk.
Well, that's your fault.
His injury risk.
No one's perfect.
He's played like one season. And he's been injured like 5.
No one's perfect, Alex.
He's been elite in the games he played, but
bro, he wasn't elite.
Like,
he wasn't elite.
Football,
he was the number 2 running
it.
back. He was the number 2 running back per start, and he also scored.
Yeah, but you don't get him for 5 of those games.
So he scored you 15 touchdowns in that amount of time. He's the only running back since Barry Sanders to ever be in the top 5 in rushing. I'm sorry, in the top 2 in rushing while missing 5 games. So,
but if you're missing 5 games, that could be like 5 losses.
But who
right
says
there,
he's missing?
bam,
Who says
the
he's
playoffs.
missing 5 games? You say he's missing 5 games. I don't agree. Not to mention, I go over and over, bro, that Corum and Kyron are the league-winning formula. You're not paying attention if you think that's what I'm saying, that Kyron missing games is going to lose me leagues. How is he going to lose me leagues? I got Corum starting every one of those 5 games, bro. Or 4 if he goes out, let's say, mid-game. I don't know what you're talking about. Especially in best ball, then I don't miss a game. Because if Kyron went down in the first quarter and Corum goes in, best ball, I'm covered. So this is the number 1 running back in the league this year. Kyron Corum together. It's absolute gold. I'm drafting Corum 99% of the time. No one's going to outdraft me on Corum unless they're in my community and they're totally taking him like three rounds earlier. I'm going to grab Corum. I'm going to be successful making sure I have the cuff. And you can be afraid of injury all you want. He's a young player. And there is a point where you start to say a player is ready to be written off in my book when they can't stay healthy, bro. I'm 100% on board that you got to take into account what the injury history is. This guy is still very, very young. He's 3 months older than Blake Corum. Kyron Williams is still a young kid, and he looks absolutely phenomenal. And he's not hurt right now with a foot injury. Go to my Instagram and look at his workouts. He's absolutely tearing it up right now. You're gonna, you know what it is, bro. You're again, you fall into the bucket of you missed on it last year, so you're trying to double down. Don't miss out. I'm asking you, bro. Change your mind right now. It's July. It's not too late. You're not gonna be a bandwagon Kyron fan in July, but as soon as August 1 hits, bro, you are gonna be a bandwagon person if you switch over later. So it's up to you. The ball's in your court, man, and the solution's right in front of your face, and it's called Blake Corum. Cuff it.
Like you're not worried about like split backfield or
no,
anything?
I'm not
worried.
worried.
Like later down the season, championship week, there's split backfield.
Why would they split the backfield with the second best running back in the league? Are you worried about Christian McCaffrey splitting the backfield?
Because they drafted Blake Corum. They've drafted Blake Corum early round.
This is all talking points. You want to read the rest of the talking points? These are talking points. Oh, he's younger. He's a better prospect. Bro, Corum has nothing on Kyron. Corum can't hold Kyron's jockstrap. I don't care about draft capital. Kyron Williams has already earned well past that point. The trust factor, McVay absolutely loves him. McVay uses one running back historically. He's taking passes in much more volume in practice because they want to get Corum in there so that Kyron can line up in the slot and in the flat. catch passes and double his reception totals. Look, you're looking for ways to be right on last year's prediction that Kyren wouldn't be worth his weight, bro, and he is worth it. And you can say whatever you want about missed games, bro, but you're just putting your foot in your mouth because he had 15 touchdowns in this awfully uncomfortable left me hanging season last year. He scored 15 touchdowns while he left me hanging for 5 games. He scored 12 rushing touchdowns in 12 games, bro. He was an absolute monster. There's no one more exciting than Kyren Williams. There's no running back you can get that could be number 1 overall in all of fantasy football in the 2nd and 3rd round. There's no one. Kyren is it. Other than Mahomes and quarterbacks, but
okay, I'll give you this. I agree that Kyren has like super high ceiling, and that alone makes me probably want to draft him. But his floor is also a lot lower than some other guys in the 2nd round.
I disagree. All right, later, Alex.
All right, later.
You can't help everybody. Scott from Cali, you got 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah, real quick, just wanted to say my daughter's been listening to you since she was in the womb. And now when you come on, she is captivated.
Yeah?
And just for fun, I'll put Miss Rachel on, and she'll be watching you over her. So
that's hilarious.
You know,
that's not the first time I've heard that, but with the other example, it was a bird. This guy's bird his bird listened to me from the beginning, and so he just, in order to put his bird, into calm mode, he just turns the channel on.
No, seriously, she'll just be like staring at the TV, just.
That's hilarious. Yeah, but I'm yelling and screaming. Is that good?
I know, she loves it.
Okay.
She loves it.
Okay.
Anyway,
what's her name, bro? We'll give her a standing ovation right now.
Quinlan.
Quinlan?
Quinlan, yeah.
Quinlan. All right, hold on. Ready? Here we go. Quinlan!
Quinlan, can you hear? That's Smitty. Quinlan, you get to the moon.
To the moon, Quinlan.
To the moon.
All right, we'll see you later, bro.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, Mr. Frost, $5 hauler. Smitty, how do you feel about Pollard in the 6th round? Not liking it. I just like other players better. A lot better in the 6th round. 6th round is like Ferguson and Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, Keon Coleman, Kenneth Walker, Xavier Worthy starting to look good there. Hollywood Brown, whatever. I also have Brees in the 3rd and Warren in the 11th. Pollard worth the 6th round pick. I mean, I don't think so. As a 6th round keeper, there's got to be a better option, Mr. Frost. I'm not big on drafting him there, let alone keeping him there. Hawaii doesn't allow underdog sleeper mocks, please. Aldi will try. It's hard to do. We'll do some mock drafts this year, but I don't know if it's going to be on the regular. It really isn't. I mean, it's better to just. I know, like the thing you got to think about from my perspective is I'm all about the greater good of the watcher, right? If there's 3, 4, 5,000 views on a video, let's say, or even 10,000 sometimes, only 11 people get into the mock draft with me. So you're talking about 11 people benefiting from me deciding to do a sleeper draft over a best ball underdog draft. But the majority of the people watching the replay would much prefer to see me try and draft a winning team that could win cash money that costs me money to join. And so the stakes are higher. I stick through it. I do the whole draft. It's exciting to see what other people are doing that are also paying money. So it just doesn't make good business sense to do mock drafting, bro, because 11 people get to participate in that. The rest are just stuck with the result and watching a very bad ADP data drive a very bad mock draft. Thank you anyway. I appreciate Aldi. We'll try and do what we can. Terry Roberts, the Fantasy Football Show. Super chat here. Superfish said at Deckard gave 10 memberships. Deckard, 10 memberships. Deckard to the moon.
To the moon.
And Terry Roberts, moderator, dropping the $5 hauler to let me know, which is absolutely glorious. I'll see you all potentially tonight. Most likely will be tonight to draft on Underdog Fantasy. The link is pinned in the live chat. They'll match 50% on your first deposit at Underdog. So if you deposit $500, they'll give you $250. The minimum's $10 though. So you do $10, they give you $5. You do $100, they give you $50. We'll be drafting on Underdog Fantasy. Appreciate all my super chatters. And let me just search my gifted memberships real quick to make sure. Gifted 10. Let's see here. Let's see. Gifted 5. Yeah, Decker gifted 5. Let me see. Superfish says Deckard gifted 10. And thank you again, Deckard. And I think I got all that taken care of. And then celebratory messages. We had MJP says the old school running back start is trending. It's maybe we're starting a trend. But it's been blasphemy to the entire best ball industry and people come into my chat and comment section 2, 3, 4 times a day. Go, you have a channel, you shouldn't have a channel. You shouldn't be giving advice talking about running back at a best ball. You don't know what you're doing. What qualifies you to be out here talking best ball? It's blasphemy, Smitty. What are you doing, pal? What are you doing back there? What are you doing back there? We got, how many thumbs up do we got? 85 thumbs up. Can we get a full 100 on the way out the door? 170 of you still here. See you all tonight. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. And this is for the Kyron haters. You Kyron haters out there are going to be so upset at yourself later.
He's Kyron. He's 7 feet tall. And he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyron. He can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
Hey Chan. Hey Chan is the man. His haters call him small.
But he is 9 feet tall.
Is the man with the master plan. Score touchdowns when he can.
Hey Chan is the man.
Give that like button a slap 4 more times if you could. We just need 4. Give it a little smacky poo. 4 more smacks, please. Knight says no H-hand for me at his ADP. Good, more for us. Doesn't mean you're getting out of a lap, but we do appreciate your support and your help for getting more H-hand shares. Thank you very much. No H-hand for me. Imagine not wanting H-hand to score 80-yard touchdowns for you. I just can't. I don't even understand it. I just don't get it. I don't like gold. I don't like bricks of gold. I don't like $100 bills. 101 thumbs up, attaboys. I don't like steak dinner. I don't like gold in the second round. Don't draft a pot of gold in the second round. Bring it in, boys. Bring it in. Here's one of the biggest L takes we've seen in a while by Dave L. Dolphins running back 3 by week 4. He's talking about this year. Lower it. Right there. Appreciate it. Don't. No. No, Knights. You do not get to say this. I love H-Han. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't love him. You can't say this is. You're trying to play both sides of this. You cannot say no H-Han for me in round 2. I love H-Han though. Absolutely not. You gotta be kidding me. Oh.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
And I'm not giving it back. I'm not giving you your Bijan card back. You lost it.